My question was, why does our current government do this? Didn't mention left or right. They all are the same. Nazi videos from Ukraine all over TikTok not long ago. Yeah. Why do they do this? Because they're liars. And many just being misled. So I don't think America is ready to, even people, and I'm talking about people that are supposedly awake. Many of the people, even that you see that are awake, that get it, they still haven't fully come to the realization. And this is how you can tell. And I'm not saying Putin's an angel, okay? I'm not. But he's never wanted to bend to the military-industrial complex, which is much of the reason why they have always wanted to make him out to be a monster. Yet people will say, still believe that he's an oligarch, crazy man, but believe him about this, and it's like, and it's because they've read books about Putin, and it's like, wait a minute. Then that's the Americans not fully getting it yet. That why would you believe anything your media says about this man? But I think the deception is so deep and so embedded in Americans, most especially, because we've been told our whole life that we live in this free country where we have free press. We're told that from the time we enter school. So we automatically believe the press because this is the only place where free press is allowed. Yet then we come to realize in the past several years that no, it's been controlled. The presidencies, everything's been controlled. Yet then people who know that still want to say, well, Putin's still an oligarch or this monster. And it's like, no. Where's the evidence? I mean, I remember hearing the stories from the news or Fox News like 2 decades ago how Putin was slowly killing somebody with cyanide or something, some former KGB or something. How do you know that's true? How do you know that anything you read in some book about Putin, I don't care who the expert is that wrote it, that it's all true? When there's been so many lies surrounding this man, not to mention just him, but and lies to us, the American people, altogether. So I think the problem here is that people don't want to. The reason there's people that do this is it goes back to the Bible. That's what I don't think people want to see. So it's easier for people to reason with themselves that, okay, Putin is still this horrible monster bad guy, but he's telling the truth in this instance. It's like, no, your government's lied to you more than this man has. That's why they never interview him. But you would rather believe your books that somebody from Harvard or Yale wrote or where else that did all this research, not saying those authors didn't, but those authors have been taught the same thing the rest of us Americans have, that this is this monster. Those same authors have never met him, never met Putin. So I think the problem here and is because it's something wicked. It just is. It goes back to the Bible, and there's many people that are never going to see that, don't want to see that, don't want to see that this is the exact thing that Jesus talked about, that this world is all about deception. That's what he was warning about. There's deception around every corner. And now all of that deception is being uncovered and people are seeing it, and yet still they can't, because they can't grasp the whole, that it's a biblical thing. They hang on to that. Okay, so the government told me some truths about Putin. No, the government we've found out nothing but everything's been a lie. Has there been some truth in there? I mean, maybe. But how can you trust any of it when the very people that have been, the very man that's been being told that's a monster our whole life, Though we haven't seen that, we're just told that, or people read it in some book. And so they think that they know. That's the same level of thinking that says, okay, because you read those books and you know so much about this, how do you know what you read in those books is true? Everybody's been deceived. Yet it's the very man that everybody still wants to make out as a monster that said who's controlling the presidencies. We know it's been a shadow government. He came out and said it. So I think it's because Americans don't want to realize how much they've been played, too. I think there's an ego problem. Because the only answer to this, of why does our current government do this, is because of ego. They don't want to admit the truth. The ones that know the truth don't want to admit it. And many of those people that are in our government that do lie like this, they're in dark secret societies. There's many people in America just don't want to accept that, but it's the truth. And it goes hand in hand with what Jesus talked about. The level of deception is massive. But people still want to ignore that no, you've just been conned and played by your own government. And yeah, some of them really looped you in, made you believe so much because you liked them. Yeah, tons of them. And nobody likes to feel like they were played that much. But the fact is that for people to still think, and again, not saying Putin's an angel, but to believe that, yeah, he was a monster and he was KGB and he did all this. Our government has lied to us about so many things. So why would anything they say about Putin make you believe that any of it's true? Not saying that some of it's not true. But our government had more of an interest to make him look like they wanted us to fear him and fear Russia more than anything else. And I think it goes down to simply what Putin said. They didn't want to see a prosperous Russia because it threatened powerful people in America who, America has to be number one. And I'm not against being number one as long as we're going about it in a legit way and not trying to make other countries seem like that they're dictators and horrible, all to try to keep them down because I can't get them to fall in line. I mean, that's really why they made him out to be a monster. And there's been books after books after books written about what a horrible man he is. And it's like those people were led astray too. But the American people don't want to snap out of the ego part of this. And that's the fact that, yes, everybody has been lied to. How many times does your government have to lie to you and you find out and realize it, that you stop and think, wait a minute, why am I still believing that what they said about this man? If your own government's willing to do this to its people, then there's nothing they won't do. But the fact is, until people really want to see what this is about and it's a biblical thing, they're going to find any way they can to avoid seeing the depths of deception that have taken place here. And that includes not wanting to be honest about how deep that deception goes.